look who's moonwalking. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that can imagine what they would use this for around the house.
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely. So, these companies that are in the R&D phase, and also like this company here, it's Unitree Robotics out of China. They're one of the few that actually has a robot that you can buy that you can program.
Yeah.
So again, it's still in its early stages, but when I say early stages, in the next 1 to 2 years, you're going to see these companies kind of scaling up, making robots specifically for construction or for the manufacturing, but the holy grail is general purpose.
Yeah.
General purpose meaning it's in your house, it's mowing your lawn, it's putting up your groceries. So there's a lot of things that it can do, and it's not just like to have a new toy, it's the growing population of elderly that are going to need that help, and then this can also be a telepresence to your doctor. It has microphones, you can ask it questions.
What are you seeing right now where these XR capabilities are helping companies and potentially even driving safety?
Oh yeah, so I think the big thing here is we're in a state that has a lot of companies that almost, I would say a third, if not more, of their jobs are very risky, very, very dangerous. And there's some people, think about it, you're just having a bad day, you'll make a mistake. But if you have something like this, not that you could actually have it autonomous and it's doing the task itself, you can actually have one day that you're remote controlling it. So it's going into a dangerous area. You can put a 5G chip in here so you don't even have to be on the job site. It could be there in like a little cabinet, you open it up, it goes out, it can go upstairs, it can go down hills, and it can actually be involved in that with telepresence here. So it has a high-def camera, it can take recordings, it can live stream out. So there's a lot of kind of safety that you would normally kind of like cross your fingers. I hope nothing happens to any of the personnel. You can put the risk here, and once these get to a scale level, these things are going to run around $20,000 to $30,000. Yes, they're going to go up higher, but a general purpose one will be, I'm not going to risk a human life when I can have something like this doing the same task.
It's so true. Like when I talk to valve companies that are in the oil and gas field, the problem with a lot of people in the energy space, and especially super industrial manufacturing, is the concept of when things go wrong, there is a fatality.
Yes.
And the idea that you could do inspections, that you could be getting the chance to actually review job sites and whatnot before there's a nightmare is a big deal.
Yeah.
So tell me, you are the CEO of Looking Glass XR.
Yes.
What do you guys do? Like, are you a robotics company? What truly do you deliver?
I think we're changing. So, we started off in the XR space in 2015, just making software. So we were like a agency, just doing whatever. We worked with the Air Force, Krispy Kreme, White Claw, just a lot of kind of stuff like that, and a lot in the healthcare space. Well, what happened is we decided, since we're all geeks, we saw this coming. I was at the CES show in 2024, and Unitree was there, and I was shocked that what you see from Boston and Tesla, it's really behind the curtain. You see the video, and you don't know how much it's real. Unitree is a company that's been selling not just their canine for 10 years, they just started selling their humanoids to anybody that wants one.
Wow.
And it's really what we see a huge market in the education space, just like in 1977 through 82. Universities were spinning up their computer science labs because they knew the future was computers, and they're going to need people to fix them, to repair them, to scale them out, and to write software. And the same thing is happening here. So we can actually connect with a computer science department and get them a real working robot that their students can start developing use cases like how do you apply, and yes.
So any examples? So I would imagine there's financial impact that this makes. What is is there a case study or an example of where you've implemented some of this so far?
Yeah, so Honda actually is deploying the canine dog, and basically they're just putting on it right now. A human walks their power plant, and he has to take 45 different readings of pipes, and it's mandatory. It's for safety, and it takes him 3 days to do it. Well, they could have a dog just there. It could wake up and do it all. The dogs are really cool because it has conductive charging. So when it gets low on power, it can go back over to its doghouse and take a rest and recharge and go finish the task.
That's amazing. Yeah, that makes total sense. Here it is, a task that would require a lot of walking, a lot of hours, and then there's human error. You're removing all of that.
Oh yeah, and there's another one that it hasn't started yet, but we had a small talk with Albertsons. And I was laughing, why would Albertsons need a robot? And the guy went straight to me and said, to stock shelves. Wow. And I said, yeah, but you already do that. He said, yeah, but nobody wants to do that job. And on top of that, back in the day, it was always done at night when the store was closed. Yeah. And now since they can't hire people who want that job or to stay with it, they now have to do it during the day, and they have to block the aisle. Yeah. Sometimes you can't go down the aisle because there's a pallet there, and they don't want someone to trip. So yeah, that's a huge...
It is. And I totally get it. If it's already hard enough to find employees, it's a lot harder to get them to stay up all night.
Exactly.
And then to your point about during the day, well, now there's potential injuries, and something like this could just make it where you have a swarm of helpers, almost like little elves doing hard jobs.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly right. But I think the thing for us is the academia and safety. What these humanoids can take off the table for human life or injury is, I don't think there's an argument there.
No, that's great. And then, so what is your vision for 2025? You're the CEO of Looking Glass XR. Typically you're choosing what direction to go and where you guys are following through. What's your big win for 2025?
Really to establish, so we've partnered with Unitree, and we don't want to be biased to like a manufacturer. So, we look at it, if you look at the car industry, there's Toyota, there's Ford and all this. We want to partner with what's happening in China, and we feel like we can partner with 5 or 6 because we think that one company is not going to have a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. So all of them are going to have to be specific in what industry, whether it's manufacturing, construction, healthcare, home care. And so we think if we basically partner with a variety of them, we can actually more answer a question for someone who calls us and say, hey, we're thinking about getting a humanoid. Well, what do you want it to do? Well, we want the Unitree one. Right. Well, if we found out their use case, we're like, hey, the Unitree robot, I think you'll be happy with it, but there's a better one, and we can go to the next.
I like that. It's because your finger's on the pulse. You would know, even with things like AI, ChatGPT versus Gemini. You just think it's all the same thing. It's not. They perform different ways.
Yes.
And you're going to have your finger on the pulse to where, depending what kind of industry it is and what they're looking for, you can modify, make adjustments, or make recommendations.
Yeah, exactly. We actually had a company here yesterday that told us they purchased 8 of the Boston Dynamics spots. They purchased 8 of them. Those things are $80,000 a year. That was 2 years ago.
And if you get it wrong.
And they did. And now they're not using those, but they're still thinking about, because they know they can't ignore, they made a mistake. Yeah. It wasn't the right fit. Yeah. They know they need to take another swing because this is not going anywhere. And companies like in the oil and gas, I know they're already in it, especially with drones. Yeah. So they're going to have to stay on it, because if they're not doing it, then their competitor is, and they're falling behind.
No, I love it. Well, this is really cool. Before we sign off, I just want to give you a chance to share your website, and then maybe just if you want to talk to a couple verticals directly, that would really be great to have a conversation with you. Our audience is mostly oil and gas, but there's a lot of service companies and manufacturing, distribution, even trucking. It just goes on and on. So who should be paying attention and who should consider reaching out?
Sure, yeah. So the website is www.lookingglassxr.com, and you can Google it too. I think we have a lot of exposure now. Our blog, we write a story a week about it, and it's general, it's not about us. Okay. And what we like is the information that we want to transfer, that knowledge, because this is going to be a 5-figure or even a 6-figure purchase for even the largest companies and the small. And we want to educate them because they don't want to get it wrong. And if we can help in that process, we're even willing to, even before you buy a Unitree, we'll hand over all the SDK information, and we have a few guys that will actually have a Zoom call for free and just get their team up to, this is this is the challenges that you are going to have, and we'll be there to help you. But they're embarking on a technology that the components have been around for a decade. It's just that they're all coming together, and what's doing that magic is AI.
Wow.
And that's why it's happening now, and that's why you can't ignore it anymore. At least be in the conversation.
That's great. So last little thing as we sign off before I let you go, I would just say my takeaway here is that really the capabilities with these robots is endless. The capabilities you have with the relationships with manufacturers is very broad, and really because this is such a forefront part of what's going on from a technology standpoint and from hardware, that truly from a consultant standpoint, having these conversations allows the person or the organization to scope out a few options,
Yes.
and then also not just look at solutions, but what capabilities might even go beyond what they've even thought about.
Or even just kind of reach out to us, like the Albertsons guy. That's a heavy lift. That's going to take a lot of education and a lot of problem solving, but that's possible.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, that's going to be a heavy lift. It's going to take a while. He didn't care. He goes, well, I want to start now because when it's ready, I want to be able to pull the trigger on it. And that's the right attitude to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Warren, thank you so much for having me.
Everybody, John McBride, check him out, Looking Glass XR.